And here we are back to the table, so we can talk about these dope heated gloves in a little bit more detail. And also, voila, the socks that kind of fit in this whole same smart heating system. And the charger. But first, let's talk about these gloves. As I was saying, you do have this really nice kind of carbon fiber knuckle that adds some extra protection, as well as reinforced areas in the palm, especially here, where if you were to put your palm down for a slide, there's a little bit of extra protection right there. It also has these two adjustable tightening systems that keep it on your hand and kind of cinched over your jacket, which is really nice. It keeps the wind out. And then I briefly mentioned this little screen cleaner here that you can use as a little squeegee to squeegee off the front of your visor or your face guard on your helmet, especially if you get bugs or it's raining or snow or something, maybe like that. And then you have the 3 levels of heat right here. From my experience, these gloves get hot, but they don't get too hot. Like if it was probably below 30 degrees or something, I think you're gonna need more. You're gonna at least need, you know, bark busters or something to kind of keep the wind from hitting your grips, and possibly heated grips as well. That's pretty cold, especially if you're speeding along. I've been using these probably between 30 and 40 degrees. They work great. And like I said, because I don't have to have them plugged into my bike, I can take them when I do other outdoor activities and they stay warm and they're not too bulky. Like they're not something where it's bulky enough where it would be uncomfortable wearing if you're snowshoeing or something, even though it does have some nice reinforcements in there. And the battery, it goes right in this little compartment, pops in, unplugs very easily, plugs back in very easily, and it's almost as if it isn't there. It's hard to even notice the batteries are there. The same thing goes for these socks. These socks, the little button to turn them on is right here, and they're wonderful. I've worn them around the house on cold days. I've worn them out playing in the snow in Yosemite, and they get the job done. They keep your feet nice and toasty. I will say they definitely stay a lot warmer when they're in shoes because the shoes help keep the heat in. So when I'm wearing around the house, they're warm, but not nearly as warm and cozy as when I have shoes on. I can let them heat up before I put them on, and it gives you that feeling like you're putting on socks right out of the dryer, which is kind of awesome. As far as charging, this is what the charger looks like. It's a proprietary charger, which is kind of a bummer. It would be nice if it had been USB-C or micro USB even, but this just plugs right into the batteries. You can charge 2 batteries at a time. And the batteries for the socks are the same batteries as the gloves, which is great, so you can interchange them. A lot of times I'll wear the gloves but not the socks, which means I have 2 batteries on standby at all the time. And if I was doing a longer trip, I could throw extra batteries on my bike and change these out if needed. My experience though is that these batteries last a long time. I haven't timed it in hours, but I mean multiple rides, I'd say at least 3-4 hours probably, no problem. After a couple months of wearing these, I guess probably a month and a half, 2 months, and wearing them pretty hard, I've noticed some little like kind of rips in the fabric. Overall, they still seem really good. It doesn't seem like any of the structural integrity's gotten messed up. The heating elements still work really well. It's just kind of this like white reflective strip that seems like it's kind of decorative. And that's pretty much it. So with all that being said, I would recommend these for the casual winter rider or someone who's in an environment that's not freezing cold, and someone who may want just, you know, gloves that you can use for other things other than riding your bike. And that's it. That's all I got. Hope you enjoyed this. Back to some more moto vlogs soon. Hope your New Year's going well. Peace. Stay hydrated. All right, back on the bike in a beautiful January day here in Mariposa. And today I want to talk about these gloves and how awesome they are, but I don't really want to do it just hanging out in town. So we're gonna go to one of my favorite spots, do a little riding, show you that, and talk about these awesome heated gloves by Savior. By the way, this is not going to be a paid video, but they did send me these gloves, so I will give a very unbiased opinion on them. All right, let's fast forward a little bit. And here we are again, back on one of my favorite roads in Mariposa. And if you've seen any of my other moto videos, you've probably seen this, probably on drone shots. I think actually this specific area I was on. But today we're going to be talking about riding in the winter and my favorite new winter riding accessory, these dope gloves by this small company called Savior. And when you're on an electric motorcycle, you don't have the engine keeping you warm. So in my opinion, you get a little bit colder on winter rides. And then on top of that, I'm 6'4", I'm a pretty big dude, so this is bouncy roads. So my hands and feet tend to get colder than the rest of me. And on the motorcycle especially, you can see I installed these bark busters to keep the winds off my hands a little bit, which helps a lot. And I even actually have heated grips on this OZERO. But I wanted something a little bit more. I wanted to be really comfortable when I was riding. And just as I'm saying that, we're pulling off onto Pendola Gardens Road, which is actually the road I was really excited about showing you during this moto vlog, even if I sound a little jarring because I'm getting bumped a little bit. I've been looking for a pair of gloves. I didn't want some that had to be connected to my bike because I like the idea of being able to use them for other things, heated gloves, and not having multiple heated gloves that I would have to carry with me. And so I found this little company out of China called Savior, and they make these awesome motorcycle gloves. And you can see on the knuckle, there's even some carbon fiber protection, and you just turn them on. It has 3 levels of heat, and they do great. I've realized that they're not, when you're riding fast and it's cold, they're not enough alone to keep your hands warm. And it's definitely better to turn them on before you get on the bike and let them get a little bit toasty, which also is just kind of a nice thing to have warm gloves when you get on the bike and not have to wait for them to warm up from the bike's auxiliary connector. And they have this little thing on them, this little windshield thing to actually clean your windshield when it's cold and in inclement weather, which is when you're going to be wearing these the most. So I thought that was a fun little addition. And on top of that, oh look, usually there's a little water crossing right there that we didn't get to do. On top of that, they have 2 straps, and it's a pretty long, goes pretty far down your wrist, so they feel really secure on my hands. One thing I would say is I got a size large, which I feel like in gloves usually fits me, and these feel a little bit smaller, so I'd probably do an extra large. Oh, here we go, here's the creek crossing. I'd probably do an extra large next time. Oh, here we go. Gotta get that a little light off-road action in today, especially it's such a beautiful day. And in the palms, you can see the palms have some reinforced stitching and materials too for abrasion resistance. I obviously haven't tried these in a crash, hopefully I won't, but they feel pretty comfortable and pretty protected and pretty warm, even like today when I don't actually need the heater. They're really cushy gloves. They have a nice glove lining that feels like it's a fleecy material. And I've been wearing these now for about a month. So even though today is a nice day and I don't have to have the heater on them, I have been using the heater a lot, especially in early December when it was really cold here, down in the 30s on some of my rides. And these definitely helped. In my opinion, the bark busters are great that I installed right here to keep the wind off your hands. I actually have heated grips on this bike as well, and the heated grips are okay, but they don't really add that much heat through the gloves. So the combination of heated grips, heated gloves, and bark busters keep my hands incredibly comfortable. What's up? A little cow action over here, because Mariposa. I think that was a little bull actually. And so the combination of those 3 keep my hands really warm. And like I said, I am tall, I'm 6'4", and I have pretty long arms, so my hands always get cold first. So I was really excited for Savior to send me these. I mean, my hands feel very nimble in these still. They feel very warm. I like the fact that they're the longer, they come down longer on the wrists. All my other gloves are pretty short, and even my winter gloves are from Dainese, I think are pretty short. So these feel overall great. I actually used them when I was snowshoeing, and it was wonderful because I didn't have to get another pair of gloves. I don't like having multiple pair of gloves that essentially do the same thing. So that was one big reason I wanted battery powered gloves instead of gloves that connect to the auxiliary port on the motorcycle. And these were pretty much the only ones that fit the bill. You know, my bike range is 120 miles in the city, 70 on the highway, so I'm not doing crazy long rides. I'm not doing, you know, touring or anything. So that's another reason that these work great. And if you are doing a longer ride, I understand the need to have something that doesn't have a battery that you have to change or worry about dying. But for me, it doesn't matter at all. But let's we just came to the end of this beautiful road, Pendleton Gardens. So let's shoot back to my place, and I will show you the socks and talk a little bit more about the features of these gloves up close and personal. Let's go.